Hello everyone, I hope you guys are all having a fabulous Monday. Today I'm coming at you with our weekly Minks Monday Q&A, and before we get started, let me share the bag that I'm currently using, and that is the Louis Vuitton Alma BB in the Demi Ben print. Alright, so grab your coffee, grab your tea, and let's get this show on the road, shall we? Alright, I still have a little bit of a cold. With the very first question from Life's Little Luxury. As a woman who has always carried bigger bags, how does one go from carrying big to going smaller or compact? As I get older, I have shoulder and back pain, and carrying around such a heavy bag all the time doesn't help the situation. When I have everything with me, just in case, seems like I only use the same couple of items and just have the rest with me. But when I don't have everything with me, I kind of go into a panic thinking, I need all of this. And of course, need something I do not have. This is an awesome question, and I think a lot of us feel this way, and I can definitely relate because probably like 6 or 7 years ago, I used to carry everything with me for the same reason. I just felt like I needed to have, I felt like it was almost like a security blanket for me. Like the more I had, the more comfortable I felt in a sense. And, what really ended up helping out is something like this. And this is what I talked about in another one of my videos. This is my car survival kit. Now in here, I have some of the things that I would have normally carried before that I didn't necessarily need, but it still gives me some type of, some type of comfort knowing that I have it in my car, if that makes any sense. And Robert actually added to it. But in here, it's a caboodle. And I have all sorts of items. I have deodorant, I have wet wipes, I have just a bunch of random things that I might end up needing. And it really helps out because, as I said before, it gives me a sense of security that it's in my car, but I don't have to carry it in my handbag. Now, I know that doesn't necessarily, end up working out, because if you aren't using your car that day, or if you're going on a trip or whatever it is and you don't have those items, but I really felt that having something like that was able to, in a sense, help me wean off of all of the other items. And it's funny because, as I said before, I used to carry so much with me, and I felt that I always ended up going for the same 7 or 8 items. So what I ended up doing also is that one day I just decided to just carry those items that I always ended up going for. And I will be honest with you that for those first couple of days, I kept thinking, oh my goodness, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. And, a lot of you might laugh, but it really, it really is something that happens, and my mom is a perfect example. My mom's handbag is like 15 pounds, and my mom is very tiny and she has very small shoulders, so I know that's not the best way. I have tried to help her by going compact, and she's always thinking, we'll sit there and I'll say, okay, take out everything out of your handbag that you absolutely need, and she'll take out like 6 items, and then I'm like, okay, we put them into a smaller handbag, and then I feel like everything in the first handbag just kind of starts trickling its way into the smaller one. So again, I think that the best way to go about it would be to possibly go with a smaller handbag. Just go for it. And then those same items that you know that you end up using over and over, just put those in your handbag, and maybe do a half day of shopping or a half day of going out with it. And then little by little, the more and more you do it, the easier it will be not to have to carry everything with you. Because think about it, a lot of us, when we have our Neverfulls, I can fill my Neverfull with, I'm sure a lot of us can fill it with everything and anything we want. But then we go from the Neverfull to, let's say, a Chanel wallet on chain, and it is a huge difference, and you really have to think twice about what it is that you're carrying with you, right? So that's what I would end up doing, or maybe the car survival kit would end up helping you out as well. But I would just take, baby steps, and trust me, you will get there to the point where you won't have that same shoulder pain because you won't end up carrying the same items. So hopefully that was able to help. I know I went on a little bit of, I went into too much depth maybe for some of you guys, but regardless, I think this is a great question, and so many people, I think, I wouldn't say struggle with it, but a lot of people feel that this is something that they can definitely relate to. So great question. All right, next question from Atre Basu. Hopefully I said that correctly. What is your opinion about Dior bags? Did you ever own any? When it comes to Dior, I think it was probably 3 or 4 months ago. I went into the boutique, and I absolutely love the structure of some of the Dior bags that they have. And the sales associate there was awesome. He gave me a ton of history on the fashion house, and and I think I have a newfound love for Dior. But unfortunately, when it comes to some of their handbags, they do not have the best resale value. Now, at the end of the day, it comes to when it comes to any type of handbag, it comes down to whether or not that person enjoys that handbag. And if it does, and if it doesn't have the best resale value, then so be it. But at the same time, sometimes when I think about spending the type of money that I do on these luxury brands, I want to know that if in the future I decided to resell it, that I know that I wouldn't end up losing so much money. I have seen some of their handbags that retail anywhere from $4,600 to $5,200 on the resale market for $2,200 to $1,000 in excellent condition. So that's why sometimes I kind of hold back, and I don't know if I necessarily want to add, you know, one of them to my collection. I think that they're beautiful, as I said before. They have just amazing structure. The quality is beautiful. The craftsmanship it's just, Dior is just such a great fashion house. I just wish that they would hold on to their resale value a little bit better if I'm going to be spending, again, that large amount of money on a handbag. But at the end of the day, it's all a matter of whatever makes someone's heart sing, right? Did I ever own any? I did not. I wasn't really too big of a fan of some of their older styles. I think it was is it the Dior saddle? I don't know. I always thought it was a little funky for my taste anyways, but I do like some of their, actually most of their new styles. And I think it's obviously the Lady Dior is beautiful. And then they also have, is it the open bar? I think that's what it is. But that one is beautiful. It doesn't have the best structure, but the leather is amazing. So unfortunately, the resale value is not there. Next question from J. Marie. What do you recommend how we can store our bags? A big shelf, a glass case, or a closet? I love your setup in the back. Did you buy it just for your designer goodies? Actually, Robert did. I used to have this, just this one, and then I also had the glass casing. And the only reason why I moved away from the glass casing that I had before is because cleaning glass is a pain in the butt. And plus you get fingerprints all over it. So I was just like, nah, I'd rather deal with the wood. But what I can say is wherever you decide to store your handbags, whether it's a setup like mine or whether you have glass casing or a closet or whatever it is, I always suggest to make sure that your handbags are on a very flat surface and you don't have any edging kind of teetering off to the side. And what I mean by that is that on these shelves, you can see that my handbags are pretty much taking up, not the entire depth, but to the point where there isn't, you know, that little 2 inches, 3 inches kind of just hanging off. And the only reason why I say to avoid that is just because you don't want to have any type of creasing, or if it's a leather bag, it'll end up just making it wear differently in the, in the long run. So that's the only reason why I always opt against having something just kind of protruding out of the bookshelf. And I know I really like that IKEA bookshelf that a lot of people have. Obviously, if you guys have seen them on Instagram or on other YouTubers, I am such a big fan of that system, but sometimes I feel that the handbags are a little too large, and I like to make sure that my handbags are stuffed and they're able to sit in the upright position, because again, I just feel that it really adds to how they end up wearing in the long run, and storing in general plays a big part in that. So that's what I would recommend. So wherever you decide to do it, but Robert set this up, and I'm very thankful that he was able to do that, or actually turn this third bedroom into my closet, which I think is pretty awesome. So. And speaking of setup, I actually thought about filming on the other side of my wardrobe, or like up against my clothes. I just want something different. I feel like I've seen the same setup for so many years, and I just want to switch it up. I thought about doing a bag drop. I don't know, but I digress. That has nothing to do with the question. All right, next one from Lynn Rowe. I heard Gucci is discontinuing the Soho Disco, the whole Soho line. Is this true? Have you heard anything about this? Great question. I have heard so much about this, especially on Instagram. A lot of people were saying that their sales associates have told them, yes, it's going to be going out. Some of them had said they hadn't heard anything, and I don't have a very close relationship with a sales associate at Gucci, but I ended up calling him anyways, and I also called the customer service line, and the customer service line, they kind of didn't really give me an answer. They went around the question, and they said, we have such great designs, we have something for everybody, kind of like what I said last time, but they never really answered the question. And then the sales associate at Gucci, he just said flat out, no. I have not heard of this. No, that's a lie. And, and I just kind of said, okay, thank you so much for your time. So if any of you guys have a closer relationship with your sales associate, or you know about it, please let us know in the comment section down below, because I know a lot of people are maybe waiting to add that back to their collection. And of course, if it's going to be discontinued, they want to be able to get it sooner than later. So please let us know in the comment section down below. I would much appreciate it, because I couldn't get anywhere. All right, next question from AffenShake18. Will you ever get a bag from Gucci? If so, which one? Okay, so as much as I love the Soho Disco, and I know I keep saying this in videos that it doesn't have an adjustable strap. That is not true. I don't know why I keep thinking that. It does have an adjustable strap, but what I don't like about the Soho Disco is that if you were to adjust the strap, I feel that it has kind of, it's kind of just flailing in the wind, the excess of the strap that you're not using. And I think that it would be better if they had maybe like a little casing to hold that strap, so it's not dangling out. Do you know what I mean? I know it probably doesn't make sense, but it drives me crazy, because I feel like it would really end up wearing maybe differently. I don't know. That's just something that goes in on my mind. But there is one that I really do love. When I was at the boutique, I just kept playing with it over and over, and my eye just kind of kept going towards it, and I wrote it down. It is the Padlock Signature Shoulder Bag, and it retails for $22.90 here in the States, and I saw it in the red, of course, the red leather with the gold hardware, and I have a picture of it, so I will insert the picture now. That bag is awesome. It is awesome. Not only does it have some of my favorite, it has my favorite combination, but I really like the structure, and then the chain detail that it has is just so beautiful. So that is one, the one in the middle, because I know there's a few on there. The pochette was really nice. I think the pochette retailed for, was it 600 maybe? Or maybe it was 400. I can't remember. But regardless, that bag is beautiful. And I think that would be one of the ones that I really like. I know that they recently introduced the Dionysus in the Hobo, and I have not seen that in person. So I'm really curious to see that at the boutique when I go, probably later this week. So I don't know, but that Padlock one definitely has my eye. And the Gucci Disco, Soho Disco, I absolutely love that bag, and I will rave about that bag till the end of time. The only thing I don't like about that is the strap. The strap that it kind of just says, hey, how you doing? Wherever you're walking around. Does that make sense? It sounds like I'm going crazy while I'm trying to explain it. All right, next question from Ahu92. What are your thoughts on the Louis Vuitton Eva clutch versus the favorite PM? Which one is better? All right, so great question. I had the Eva clutch. I actually had it in two different prints. I had it in the monogram and the demi Ben, and I sold both of them. The monogram just because the Eva clutch, I always loved it for travel because it has such a great strap length, and it's very easy to use crossbody. You only carry your essentials. The Damier Ben, I didn't like the plate on the front, and I think I talked about that in the Bags I've Sold and Why video, and if you guys haven't checked that out, I will put it in the description box below if you're interested. But I didn't like the plate, and the plate shows so much wear and tear over time, and especially when I used it as a travel bag, it was just one of those bags that I wanted to be carefree, but the more and more I used it, the hardware just looked a lot worse. And I really liked, like I said before, the strap length of the Eva clutch, but the monogram, because of the Vachetta, I felt wasn't user-friendly, if you will, for travel. So that's the only reason I ended up getting rid of that. And the favorite, I feel that the favorite is probably a little bit more elegant. It doesn't have too much hardware, and so that we don't have to worry too much about wear and tear as far as, it chipping or just scratching. But it is also a shorter strap length. So they both have their pros and cons. The PM is a little too small for my taste. It definitely is comparable to the Eva clutch in that sense. If I was to go for a favorite, it would be the MM size, just because, again, you could carry a little bit more. But I think both are great for different reasons. But if I was to choose all over again, having had having owned the Eva clutch, I would go for the Favorite just because I feel that it adds a little bit more just to the bag, if that makes any sense. And it also has a different, there's a $200, I think it's $210 difference between both. So, you know, it is a substantial difference between them, but so it's all a matter of personal preference. If you want something that's a little bit longer, then I would go for the Eva clutch. If you want something that you don't have to worry about as much with hardware as far as it's scratching and whatnot, then I would go for the Favorite, whether the PM or the MM, regardless. But great question. All right, next question from KW Shops. How do you feel about cars? I have never had a car and I'm looking at getting one soon. I have a collection of bags that I'm very proud of from a lot of top designer brands, and they are very expensive. But when I look at the price of leasing a car, the money just doesn't seem to be worth it for my lifestyle. And I would rather go for something way cheaper just simply because cars don't interest me at all. Do you think it looks dumb to have expensive bags but a cheap car? No, I can buy anything I want. It's more a question of priorities. All right, so great question. And how do I feel about cars? I love cars. I'm that type of person that when I'm on the freeway with someone and if I look in the rear view mirror, I know that's a hard phrase to say, in the rear view mirror, I will tell the person, ooh, look on your right or look on your left, look at this car, look at that car. And I've always had a passion for cars, whether it's American muscle cars or luxury cars or what have you. And when I was younger, I knew that I wanted to get a luxury car, and I've always talked about like a Porsche Cayenne. I've always liked them. And I've also liked BMW and Mercedes. And I ended up getting Olivia, which is my BMW. I nicknamed her Olivia, and I'm super, super happy. But I feel that cars are kind of like handbags. It's whatever makes you happy. I had my Chanels, I had my Louis, and I had my Mazda, and I was just peachy keen with that. I was happier than ever. My car was paid for, and it didn't take away from, you know, paying a bill or doing this or doing that. And I absolutely loved it. And I think that it is whatever makes you happy. If you want an expensive car, then go for that. If you want a less expensive car, then go for that. It's whatever is, you know, whatever makes your heart sing. And I will never forget, and this kind of irks me in a way, there was a girl that I used to work with. You guys I've talked about her before. We never saw eye to eye. And everyone that I used to work with always knew that handbags were my thing, right? They'd always say, oh, Minnie and her handbags, Minnie and her handbags. And I remember I was talking to someone about a handbag, and she just comes up and she sticks her nose in our business. And she says, if you have all these expensive handbags, how come you're driving a Mazda? It just doesn't make sense. And I exchanged some choice words with her that I will not repeat here. But I just looked at her and I said, what? That is the dumbest thing I have ever heard, for lack of a better phrasing. And I said, you know what? If you want to buy me an expensive car to go with my handbags, then so be it. Otherwise, you know, mind your business. And really, I just thought that was so, like, who thinks that? You know what I mean? I will never, ever buy something for what might be aesthetically pleasing to someone else's eye. I will always go with what my heart sings. If it's a handbag, if it's a car, if it's clothing, whatever it is, it's your own happiness that matters. You know what I mean? And it just like I said before, it kind of reminded me of what that person said. And I'm just thinking that is so ignorant, because, you know, I was just thinking, obviously I have a little bit more money that I can spend on handbags because that is my passion. If I don't have this ginormous car payment, you know, and I know some people end up paying for their car outright, and I think that's awesome. Some people lease it, some people buy it, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's whatever makes you happy. And if cars just aren't your thing, then I would go for something less expensive. And that way you can just put that money towards handbags if that's your passion, or maybe something else is your passion, or traveling, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be handbags. But that is a great question. No, but again, go for what makes your heart sing. All right, next question from Rebecca Graff. I'm going to Paris at the end of the month, and I would love to go to the Louis Vuitton Champs-Élysées store there. Do you have any recommendations regarding time to go, shopping there in general, etc.? Also, do you know how it works if you want to get something hot stamped there? Is it like the other stores that they can only do it right away on Saturdays? And there's a rumor that the pieces you buy there are cheaper than elsewhere. Is that true? The French prices and German prices are the same online, so I don't believe that's true. Maybe you have some info on that. All right, lots of great questions, and safe travels on your upcoming trip. That is awesome. You're going to have a blast. Okay, so when it comes to shopping at the Louis Vuitton at Champs-Élysées, it is such an incredible experience. I had such an amazing time, and it's more than a boutique. It takes up an entire block. It is insane. But the entire vicinity there, whether it's on the Champs-Elysees, you have so much shopping, and then there's also a few other streets that have tons of other designer boutiques. You also have Chanel, you have Hermes. There's just so much to see. We went in the early morning because I guess there is a line, and during tourist season it gets even crazier. There's a lot more people wanting to go into the store. So I always say going in the early morning, or just setting aside one day for your shopping would be what I would recommend. I have found that the trick when you go to the Champs-Elysees Louis Vuitton is locking eyes or seeking out a sales associate as quickly as possible, because there's so many people in there. And if you want to get your shopping done, then I would definitely seek them out. And then once that happens, they'll help you out with all of your questions. They'll help you out with your purchase. I just had a wonderful, wonderful experience, as I said before, and they really took their time with me. It's not like they were trying to rush you. You know, I remember I told one of the sales associates, I said, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm so indecisive." She's all, "Take your time. I don't care." You know, and I think that's awesome versus some of the sales associates that we get here in the States, at least some of the ones that I have come across. They kind of want to get you through the purchasing process, but they take their time. At least that's the experience that I had. And I think you'll have fun. And as far as hot stamping, I'm not too sure because I didn't get anything hot stamped, so I wouldn't be able to answer that for you, unfortunately. And then there's a rumor that pieces you buy are cheaper than elsewhere. That has pretty much always been the case because it is a Parisian fashion house or a French fashion house. Obviously, it's going to be less expensive in France. However, right now, London is taking the cake for how much cheaper it is to buy Louis Vuitton there versus France, which is very interesting. And I mean, there was an article, I think, on Purse Pop or the Purse Forum. I can't remember where it was, to be honest. If I find it, I will put it on the description box below. But check it out. Or maybe it was BBC, because one of my very good friends, Love Luxury, brought that up on her post on Instagram. And I kind of researched it further. And right now they're saying that London is number one as far as expensive or luxury goods being less expensive there. So check that out. Gifted Gal. I live in Texas and I'm wanting to buy a Chanel wallet on chain, but both boutiques I've called have stated that there is a wait list, and specifically for the black lambskin. They have not seen one come through in 2 years. Is it really that hard to purchase a wallet on chain? I can tell you it really depends on the boutique because sometimes the larger boutiques have a longer wait list because they get more items. But I've also found that some of the smaller boutiques end up having them come through a little bit. Maybe they might have one or two, but because it's such a small boutique, they don't have a very long wait list. And then you can also call the 188 number and talk to an associate there. And if you get a really, really, really awesome one, I know I've had some amazing customer service at the 188 number. They're actually able to help locate it for you within the country. And all they say is, for example, they'll say, "Oh, there's two in San Francisco. I'll give you the number, and then you have to call, and then that way they can ship it to your house." So I would definitely end up opening up my inquiries as to other boutiques around the country. San Francisco tends to have quite a bit coming in from time to time. Who else? I know that a lot of people also don't think about Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, Saks Fifth Avenue, and Bergdorf's. A lot of those department stores will also have wait lists for them. So the more places you call and the more places that you're on a wait list, the better chance you have of actually acquiring that item. It doesn't necessarily have to be in your state. So I think that is really important to note because some people don't know that. So that's what I would end up doing. I would call the 188 number, or I would just call around and get on a few other wait lists. You know who else? Las Vegas. Las Vegas is awesome, even though they are touristy and they have it's a larger boutique. They have so many different boutiques there, to be honest. They have so many coming in because of the tourists that they have, that you might have a better chance of finding one there as well. So hopefully that was able to help, and good luck finding your wallet on chain. All right, next question from Tammy O'Full. I'm looking at the Speedy Bandolier and monogram in the size 35, but I'm wondering what you would go with. 30 or 35. Sometimes I feel I need even more room when I'm carrying my Neverfull because I sometimes carry around my kids' items or my large planner. I love big bags, but I worry that the 35 will be too big for every day, even though my Neverfull MM is currently almost stuffed full. I am 5'9", by the way. Great question. Okay, so I ended up purchasing two 35s in the beginning, and I decided to sell them to replace them with 30s because I also feel that the 35 is it's just a tad too big. I felt like it was almost like luggage, and even though I can carry so much in there, I felt that the 30 still carries quite a bit in there, and I'm always surprised because you can end up filling the 30 with as many items as I have had in my Neverfull MM when I'm carrying around my cardigan, my gloves, my beanie, what have you. It ends up fitting in there as well. So what I would end up doing is on a day that you have quite a bit with you, like on your Neverfull, I would go to the boutique and then I would try fitting all of those items in the 30 and the 35 and then putting it on and see how you like it. Again, my own personal preference, I opted against the 35 because it was just way too large and I ended up selling them and replacing them. But I obviously, I definitely appreciate the fact that you can carry just a little bit more with you, but the 30 I just feel is just the perfect size, and it doesn't take up too much room, but it doesn't look like it's this tiny handbag either, if that makes any sense. So I would go with the 30, but I would definitely go into the boutique and try them out and see what ends up suiting your lifestyle a little bit better. Okay, but one thing to note, the difference, the biggest difference between the 30 and the 35 besides the size was more so the opening. So if you have a large planner, you might have to put it at an angle to fit it inside of your Speedy Bandolier or inside of the 30 versus the 35 just has a little bit of a larger zipper. So that if that's something that, that's definitely a deal breaker for you, then I would stick with the 35. But regardless, check them out at the boutique. All right, Dawn S. I recently purchased a Chanel GST in caviar leather with silver hardware. Congratulations. I absolutely love the bag. However, I am having buyer's remorse. I feel like Chanel is such a classy, dressy bag, and I feel like the GST isn't a bag I would feel comfortable carrying every day. The majority of my bags are LV, and I love them. I always wanted a Chanel, but now that I have one, I feel like I'm afraid to carry it. What do you think? Do you feel like Chanel is an everyday carry bag rather than just for special occasions? I am so torn. Should I keep it or should I return it? Awesome question, Dawn. All right, so to answer your question, I consider myself to be very, very casual. As I've told you guys before, I wear jeans all the time. I wear sneakers quite a bit, especially my Vans. You guys know my love for Vans and Converse, and I love pairing my Vans and my GST or my jumbo flap or whatever it is. I definitely don't think that a Chanel is only for dressy occasions. Don't get me wrong, I have also used it when I wanted to dress up or be a lot more formal as well. But for the most part, I have worn them with my Vans, with my shorts and a flannel. Because it's caviar, it's something that you can really use every day. And you don't have to worry about scratches. You don't have to worry about anything. And I've been caught in the rain with caviar bags as well, and nothing has happened to them. So it's definitely something that personally, if it were me, I would end up keeping it. I would end up rocking that bag with whatever it is that you're carrying. You don't have to be dressed, to the nines with this cocktail dress or this formal dress in order to enjoy your GST or your classic flap or whatever it is. No way. At least I don't feel that way. Some people might disagree with me, but I am a very, very casual dresser. And I still enjoy my handbags, whether I'm going to Lowe's or whether I'm going to the mall. I will rock that handbag. And I would definitely suggest you do the same thing and keep that beautiful, beautiful bag, especially because it's so hard to find. But that's just me. Whatever makes you happy. Last one from LC Beauty. My question is about the limited edition Neverfull I saw on Instagram. There is a new series of cities Neverfull, and there is one from Aspen. Do you know more about them or which cities are available? Awesome, awesome question. And unfortunately, I do not have a picture to share with you guys. I know that I recently saw one from a very good friend, Frozen Luxury. His Neverfull says Hawaii. So obviously Hawaii is a state, so I think that there's some states, and then there's also some cities. I think it was maybe 6 years ago I saw one that said Palm Beach, Saint Tropez. Obviously you said Aspen, and these are called destination pieces. When it comes to these types of Neverfulls, I honestly don't know how many different cities there are, but when it comes to these destination pieces, you cannot buy them on over the phone, and you have to be in that boutique in order to purchase them. So I was so bummed out because I've seen some of them and they are just absolutely stunning. And when I talked to the sales associate, she said that I said, you know, are there more coming? Like right now you have, how many cities do you have? She couldn't answer that again because there's so many different cities that they're available. But she said, I think that that's something that we're going to have, you know, for years to come. So who knows what other destinations will be on there, but they do not ship them out. At least that's what she said, that's something that they don't do. Who knows? Some of you guys might have amazing essays and they might be able to help you out. But they're only sold in select boutiques at that destination and they can only be purchased there. So how awesome is that? All right, you guys, so that does it for Minks Monday Q&A. I hope you enjoyed it. And I know a lot of you have been asking, where do you ask questions for Minks Monday? If you can do it on the most recent MMQA, that would be very, very helpful so I can see them. And I end up closing the questions on Friday morning or Friday midday. That's usually when I end up answering questions online. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all tomorrow. And as always, make it a fabulous day or not. The choice is yours. Have a great day, you guys.